A very good morning. Welcome to SUTD Digital Open House and to this session, SUTD 101. Now, this session has two parts. I will first give an overview about SUTD, and this is followed by a panel discussion with two distinguished guests, one from EDB, the other from Accenture, and also two of our alumni. So let's start. This slide showed the founding principle of SUTD. Interdisciplinary innovation has the power to solve the world's constantly evolving challenges, and it is now more urgent than ever to transform higher education to prepare students for the future. So, how do we prepare students for the futures? I think to answer this question, maybe we should ask what are the developments that are affecting the futures. Number one, the 21st century global challenges. Number two, the digital transformation and the fourth industrial revolutions. And number three, disruptive innovation. So let me look at this issue in a bit more details. Number one, global challenges for the 21st century. Now, the world population is growing rapidly. In fact, today we have about 7 billion over people living on Earth. And by the beginning of the next century, I think this number will cross more than 11 billion. Now, this rapidly growth of population of the world has several, I would say, key consequences. One is, we all know, aging society, because people live longer. In fact, by 2050, 22% of the world population will be more than 60 years old. And for Singapore, this figure is even higher, and it's a challenging time for Singapore. Now, we have rapid urbanization. In fact, more than 1.5 million people move to city every week. And because we need to sustain this growth and expansion, we will need more energy. In fact, we will use 50% more energy, 40% more water, and the planet is getting warmer, so leading to the issue about global warming and climate change. And not to mention, there are many unforeseeable unknowns, such as future jobs and the kind of pandemic that we are facing today. Now, second, the digital transformation and Industry 4.0. Now, Industry 4.0 is actually a connected revolution, seamlessly enabling convergence of the physical and the digital world, connecting people, data, things, and services. So, in fact, by 2025, every person will have more than 9 devices connected to the internet. And because of that, there will be large amount of data generated. In fact, close to about 463 million terabyte data will be generated every day. So, making data the new currency for the economy, the digital economy. And we have the artificial intelligence, the machines that can perform human tasks, and this will continue to reshape our way of working, interact, and learn. So, and not to forget, we have this backbone of network, 5G and beyond. So this actually, disrupt a lot of things that we do. I can use this quote here from a CEO of Accenture. He said that digital is the main reason just over half of the companies on the Fortune 500 have disappeared since 2000. But on the other hand, digital transformation also offers new opportunities and offer the importance of STEM education. So I would like to quote PM Lee's speech at SUTD campus opening in 2015. And he said, Singapore will need strong STEM capabilities as it moves ahead into the next 50 years. Now, digital transformation also lead to disruptive innovations. And this have actually drastically changed the competitiveness of company. Now, look at this chart here. I think many of you may not even know there's this thing called the Kodak analog films. Today, this has been replaced by the digital camera. And we have more example here. For example, I don't think, today you watch movie from DVD disc, you watch movie from Netflix, from the cloud. And today, you know, we have the smartphone replacing all our normal phone that we had before. And the list going on here, you can see we have driverless car, we have Uber, Grab that, you know, also redefine how we travel. And we have e-payment, e-banking, computer vision, new one, 3D printing, and robotics. So this world is changing, and it is really difficult to predict. And what you can predict is only the best guess. So therefore, I thought this quote from Abraham Lincoln is, I would say, relevant. So the best way to predict your future actually is to create it. So with all these challenges, you know, what impact do they have on the future of jobs? And what is the role of education? Now, SUTD was established to do exactly that. The SUTD has a very bold vision to define the future of engineering, computing, and design to prepare students for this fast evolving world. There are actually a few approaches, so I'll highlight here. First is about having an interdisciplinary curriculum. Second is about emphasizing on design, but it is about human-centered design. And third is to make digital competency not just a subject, but a foundation across the whole years, the whole duration of the studies of the students. And number four, we are not using, you know, big lecture theater, but rather a smaller group, cohort-based, interactive, and collaborative learning environments. And number five, to develop skills as well as attitudes beyond the book knowledge. And last but not least, to engage with the world, to research, internship, and entrepreneurship. So let me quickly go through these 6 points that listed in this slide. Now, SUTD is the first in Singapore to offer interdisciplinary curriculum. And this curriculum is co-developed together with MIT. So we have today 5 majors. You can see here, I think you are familiar with the major ASD, EPD, ESD, ISTD, and DAI. Now, because the nature of the curriculum is interdisciplinary, so it is important to build foundation for the student before they enter into the pillars. So we have actually 3 terms of foundation year, and we call Freshmore, where students will learn the basic foundation and also discover the interest before they select the pillar. So once they enter the pillar, the interdisciplinary curriculum will take them into, you know, not just theory, not just hands-on, but also apply to real world. And we have this signature final year, we call the capstone project, where 90% of the capstone projects are funded by industries. Now, of course, we need to make sure that we equip students with the important key horizontal capabilities, such as humanities, arts, and social science. In fact, we have 22% of our required curriculum in HAS. Of course, we continue to have design, data analytics, and AI infused into the entire curriculum. So let me just talk about these interdisciplinary majors. I think this is important because very often a curriculum is called interdisciplinary, but it is not exactly truly interdisciplinary because it just asks students to take courses maybe from 2 or more disciplines, maybe leading to 2 degrees and so on. But for SUTD, we want to integrate this domain knowledge of the discipline across the entire curriculum to nurture students to be creative in solving real-world problems. So we have identified 4 broad areas: built environment, products, systems, and services. So therefore, we have these 5 major that I just mentioned. We want to produce architects who create technologically grounded design for smart and green environments. We want to produce designers and innovators who can harness the power of AI to address future large-scale problems. And we also want to produce design engineers who use technology to solve real-world problems through product innovation. We also want to produce analysts and system engineers who tackle business challenges with system thinking and optimization. And last but not least, we want a new generation of computer scientists with design thinking and knowledge in computing, system, and intelligence. Now, I think it's good to talk about Freshmore because when you join SUTD, this will be your first year in SUTD. We call this Freshmore is from term 1 to term 3, and it builds skill and knowledge for you so that you are prepared to move on to your pillar. It is really the foundation of future. So this slide shows some of the courses that you will take. In fact, because this is an MIT curriculum, so we have actually a very strong foundation in mathematics, in science, and also apply them to understand the real world, such as the system world, the physical world, the digital world. And of course, we have the humanities, art, and social science to support the learning in the context of design. So again, this is also a year where we allow students to discover their interests. And our statistics show that 30% of the students change their mind after this first year. So I think this is a year of discovery and also let the student to have an informed choice when they select the pillars. Now, I'd like to talk about human-centered design because many people have different ideas about design. And I think SUTD itself also have undergo a lot of discussion retreat to understand what design means to SUTD. So I'm going to show you a short video, less than 2 minutes, to define the design that SUTD define it that way.
Design is many things to different people. Most would associate it with art, fashion, and graphics. But that is only one facet of this multi-dimensional concept. Design, more importantly, is also the creation of human-centered solutions. They can be solutions to everyday challenges that make life easier, like adding wheels to your luggage to create the modern 4-wheel suitcase. Or they could be solutions to global challenges that affect the lives of millions, like the creation of a shared network where information can be exchanged at any time by anyone at any location, what we now call the Internet. Design is the sum of ideas and expertise from different fields to create an effective, efficient, and sustainable solution. Nurturing design innovators is crucial to the continued advancement of humankind in a world bombarded by unprecedented challenges. They will transform our lives, drive innovation, grow economies sustainably. And at Singapore University of Technology and Design, also known as SUTD, our mission is to nurture the future generation of design innovators. Inspired by the evolution of design thinking, SUTD is revolutionizing design and leading the charge towards a new era of innovation. Students, of which 40% are female, are trained in design innovation and are immersed in a collaborative learning environment where they can easily go from concept to prototype, programming and testing. An interdisciplinary curriculum brings together 5-degree programs for more holistic and creative innovations, be it in education or research. We are united and inspired by a single-minded goal of improving lives and safeguarding our planet. We call this a better world by design. From autonomous systems that can learn and adapt to new innovations in sustainable materials, design with the power of AI can help build smarter, more enjoyable cities, unlocking breakthroughs beyond our wildest imagination. It will also help power our economy to stay competitive into the future. Design powered by technology and AI truly is here to help us build a better world.
So you can from this video, you know the definition of design in SUTD. And we call this human-centered design. And we believe design is to go beyond form, go beyond function, to system and interface with society, culture, and also the environment. And design must have an end goal here. It has to be purposeful, to improve people's lives, to grow economy and society, and also to sustain the world. And design in this new century should take a new approach that is AI and data-driven. And this is what SUTD define our design. And you will be able to learn using design, this next generation design, to apply to real-world problems. Next, digital competency. I mentioned digital competency is introduced as a foundation. So there's a sequence of digital-based courses in all terms for all our students. So such as starting from programming to data, to analytical tools, to understand human-machine interaction, to also understand computer vision like AR, VR, and eventually to machine learning and artificial intelligence. Now, the fourth point is about smaller group teaching, learning. We call this active and collaborative learning. In SUTD, we have a low student to faculty ratio, 11:1. So with that, actually, we can do a lot of pedagogy innovation to bring theories to life. At the same time, we want our students to learn about hands-on collaboration and also interactions. Under this kind of pedagogy, we actually see a strong peer-to-peer learning among the students. And I think this is not seen in most of the university. In fact, the students do not study alone. They actually support each other. And with that, actually, they learn much better and level up much faster. So with that, actually, we also foster creative thinking, problem solving, collaboration, and communication skills. Now, the fifth point is about going beyond book knowledge to develop skills and attitudes. So if you look at the purpose of education, you have three key so-called category here, right? Knowledge, skills, and attitudes. And I can show you some of the words that we use to describe these three things. Now, today, a lot of the universities, especially the research-intensive university, their focus is actually on research, on knowledge here. That is because maybe driven by the world ranking and so on. And for SUTD, we think it is time for us to bring the center of gravity to a much balance among the three things that we talk about here. But we know in order to develop skills and attitudes, we have to go outside the classroom. So therefore, in SUTD, we emphasize on experiential learning and also send our students out for global exposures so that they can learn things that is shown on these slides here. So how do we do that, right? In SUTD, we set aside time and space for our students to pursue their passion and interests. So we have no classes on Wednesday and Friday afternoons. Basically, in effect, we return a day per week to the student to pursue their interest and passion. So today, the student, start clubs, start interest group. In fact, we have more than 90 such clubs and interest group in SUTD. And also, students use the free time to do some research, and also they can start something, try out their ideas, because we support them through some of the activities that we have here. We basically want our students to get out of the comfort zone. Now, overseas exposure is important, especially for a small country like us. SUTD have 100% opportunity for all students to go overseas through the year, during their freshman, during the summer intern, during the fall exchange to other university as well. So today we have more than 46 institutions in 21 countries offer exchange program for our students. So the last point is about engagement with industry and the world. Internship is compulsory in SUTD. So we have more than 1,000 partners that offer internship for our students. I think that is a very good sign and endorsement of industry about our educational model. In fact, about a quarter of our students have gotten return offer from those companies that they intern for their jobs when they graduate. We also have this very vibrant innovation and entrepreneurship culture because people talk about design, we generate ideas. So today, just from the students themselves, we have about 40 startups and the numbers is growing. I mentioned we actually offer research opportunity for our students from day one. We call this the Europe program, undergraduate research opportunity program. So it average about 44.6% of the students in that cohort complete Europe. And I think this is very good because it trains the mind to be more critical and also be able to think about how to translate research into the real world. So the rest of my slide will very quickly show the results of our graduates, right? So, and also SUTD. This is a study commissioned by MIT. They call it the Global State of the Art in Emerging Engineering Education. So we are quite happy to know that SUTD topped the list of the emerging engineering school in the world. This is a very strong endorsement of SUTD, of our educational model. Now, how about the graduates, right? We have actually good graduate employment results throughout the years. We have graduated 6 batches of students now. This is actually the 2019 cohort here. You can see 1 in 4 receive return offer after internship, and 9 in 10 have full-time permanent employment, and across almost 78% of the key industry. And we also see a very good startup salary, both in terms of mean gross and also medium gross. So this is, again, not just one cohort, but throughout the cohort. I would like to also show the most recent cohort, class of 2020. As you know, year of 2020 was a very challenging year for the graduates, but our student, actually our graduate, have been doing well also during this period of time. In fact, we have very good, positive, in fact, full-time employment result despite a tough economic outlook due to the pandemic. You can see here, our survey will end, in fact, today, but this is still a preliminary result here. Almost 81% of our student graduate for class of 2020 have full-time employment, and this is way above the average of the combined AUs from others. Yeah. Now this is another slide I thought it's good to share with you how our engineering graduates perceive themselves. So during the employment survey, we asked students about how they perceive themselves after they have gone through the education in SUTD. You can see maybe a bit small in the font, but let me highlight 3 of them. Creativity and innovation, multidisciplinary knowledge and skills, critical thinking and problem solving. You can see the blue curve is actually SUTD score, and this is well above the rate score average from all the AUs. So again, I think this shows that our students, after going through our pedagogy and our interdisciplinary curriculum, they do have very strong confidence in these 3 areas. In the previous open house, many parents asked whether our students can be accepted at graduate school around the world. I think this slide shows that actually our students are well received by this very renowned graduate school overseas. So these are some of the quotes that we have about what students say about SUTD. The first one is really about what they think, most valuable things that they learn in SUTD. So it is about design thinking and also the concept of learning to learn. And we have also asked some freshman students why they come to SUTD. I think they like the school because the school integrates both design and engineering in a very different way. Again, it is the interdisciplinary curriculum that attract them to come. And last but not least, here you can see another student talk about the most valuable thing that they learn from SUTD is actually the pedagogy, the interdisciplinary collaboration to give her the opportunity to design, build projects beyond our individual capabilities. This is the graduate that SUTD nurture. I think the world needs more such innovators and entrepreneurs that can create positive and lasting impact for the mankind. So this is SUTD. The future is yours to create. Thank you very much. Okay, I will move on to the next session, which is a panel discussion. So today we have our distinguished panelists. We have two from the public sector and also from the private sector, and two of our wonderful alumni. We have Mr. Chng Kai Fong, Managing Director from EDB, and we have also Mr. Dwell Hutchins from Accenture. We have two alumni, Shalv and also Stella. So we can start the panel discussion, please. Yeah. So maybe I understand that two of panelists is slightly late, so they will join us once they come in. So we will start with the two panelists here. So can I maybe just invite Kai Fong maybe to say a few words before we start the panel discussion? Yeah.
Shalv, you want to start first since you are a recent graduate and you can give a real world experience of what it means to be a graduate.
So hi everyone online. I am Shalv. I graduated in 2018 from SUTD's Engineering Product Development pillar, and after that I joined Singtel as a management associate. So over the years I went through different rotations at Singtel, doing robotics, then doing AI, and now I'm doing digital products. So SUTD has been really something that has been very close to my heart ever since I graduated, because it has been the university that shaped me to become who I am today. I think whatever Prof. Chong mentioned about being design-centric, being able to take the world's problem and solve it using design is exactly what I have been doing at work. So I'll share more later, but that's a quick, short introduction about myself.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name's Kai Fong. Most people call me Kai. I'm the Managing Director of the Economic Development Board, which is the public sector agency charged with bringing in investments and creating jobs for Singaporeans. And maybe just to complement what Prof. Tao Chong has just said, so one of the things which I'm often called to give talks and give my views on what kinds of jobs we are creating, what would I do if I was a graduate, or what would I do if I was an undergraduate looking at different courses of study and all that. And my advice is always to try to diversify your range, to not just focus on the hard skills, your STEM subjects and all that, but really to be able to integrate that in the softer skills, the ability to harmonize, the ability to find different ideas and find the ability to tell stories, the ability to play. And so what Tao Chong told you about in terms of the holistic education of SUTD, I think fits that bill to a T. One of the best pieces of advice I have been given was, rather than be the Joseph Schooling, right? There can only be one Joseph Schooling in swimming. And to do that, you not only need to put in the hours, Malcolm Gladwell says 10,000 hours, but even hours of deliberate practice sometimes is not enough, because when you're competing in the world, it is also the lottery of your DNA and your makeup that makes a difference. But in this new world, where there's really, the internet, digital technologies, AI are so accessible to everyone, where there's also a long tail and you can differentiate yourself. And even as you differentiate yourself, you don't need the mass market anymore because you can actually find like-minded people or people who want your skill. Actually, the key is to, how do you differentiate yourself? So you either differentiate yourself by being the Joseph Schooling or the LeBron James of your particular field, which makes you 0.0001%. Not to say that SUTD doesn't help you to do that. Or you differentiate yourselves by being the top quartile of 3 to 4 different skills that you can develop. So whether it's in the field of, and I think if you look at the distribution and the kind of courses that SUTD offers, it's in that light, right? So you have engineering systems design, you have design and AI. So be in the top quartile of 3 or 4 different fields, and then you find that nice blend of skills that differentiates you in the private sector. And that's the story that you can sell, and that's what companies are looking for. I was just having dinner yesterday with a couple of engineering managers from the tech firms. And these are people that have come from the valley to set up an engineering firm. These are big firms, whether it's your Stripes, your Facebooks and all that. And you find that the engineering managers are not just geeks all the way. They often have side interests, side hustles. The former head of privacy of Facebook, for example, who's now working at Grab, he started off as a concert pianist before delving into computer programming. He does ceramics on the side. And so my point is, that's the kind of education you are looking for. A wide variety, but grounded in a particular area and being top quartile in 3 or 4 different dimensions.
Okay, thank you, Kai Fong, for endorsing the SUTD interdisciplinary education here. Now, I think in EDB, I think every day you talk to those maybe Fortune 500 companies, big companies, the CEO, and so on. So maybe you can share with the audience here, for these CEOs, right? When they look at the challenges of the 21st century, what type of skills they are looking for their graduate, for the employees that they will hire?
Yeah. Okay. Maybe let me reframe it in 2 different questions. One is, what do they tell me about Singapore students, and what do they wish Singapore students would do more of? Yeah. Maybe that's easier. One of the things that stand us in good stead for Singaporean students is that we are hardworking, very reliable, trusted. You try to work in teams quite well. But what they lament of Singapore students is we are not as good as others in voicing our own opinions. We're not great in thinking out of the box. We are not as adventurous in going for external assignments, and maybe because we have a lot of choice. And so, they always, some of them even said that Singaporeans are the best for companies because 9 out of 10 people want to work for a company, whereas in other countries, 9 out of 10 want to start their own companies. Mm-hmm. So that's just being honest, but it's perhaps a good place to start and a good place to change the perception of Singapore students. But more importantly, in this new world, where life is going to be a lot more complex and it's no longer, 10-year series is not going to cut it. And so what companies are looking for, even the engineering managers tell me that when they're looking for programmers, they are not looking for people who have technical competence alone, because it's never about the technical competence that solves problems. It is the ability to integrate, to synthesize, to figure out what is the problem that the company really wants to solve. Because often it's never the stated problem. There are always underlying fundamental problems that need to be solved. So it's figuring that out in the midst of ambiguity, rallying teams, because you're never going to be able to do it on your own, and then the ability to constantly adjust and adapt. So that's the real world. It's going to be a lot more complex. So you need all the skills out there, and you need to be able to read widely to synthesize all the different ideas. That's how innovation happens.
Good, thank you. Now, I want to turn my question to Shalv now. After hearing from, Kai Fong, talking about, not just so-called knowledge, but also the kind of ability and so on. So I want to ask you, how was your education and training in SUTD prepare you for the job? Did we prepare you well enough so that you can, do your job in a way that what Kai Fong say is not just about solving the problem, but be able to see the problem as a whole, holistically, and then design your solution?
So I think definitely SUTD did prepare and equip me with the right skills to be able to go out there, look at the bigger picture, what is the problem, what are the kind of solutions that we can do to actually come to an outcome that is both meaningful to the business and even to our customers. So I think Kai Fong just now mentioned that Singapore students don't voice out their opinions enough and everything. But SUTD, right, because we do so much teamwork, we have so many projects, it's a very project-based learning, so you're very hands-on. So what happens is you will be in teams all the time, and then you will have difference of opinion, which will lead you to voice out your opinions and say what's on your mind. And that, I think, was something that equipped me with the skills to go out there and not be afraid, I don't think this should be done this way. Sometimes when I'm in meetings and stuff, I might be the most junior person, but I will be willing to voice out my opinion just because I know that's how I was taught at SUTD. Because whenever you ask the question by a professor or your teammates, you say what's on your mind. So that is something definitely that I took home with me. In terms of the skills, because we learned so many different modules in our first year. So I recently read this book called Range, which is something like Kai Fong mentioned, is to widen your horizon and then be the top quartiles for 3 to 4 aspects. So that's exactly what I feel was echoing SUTD's mission or vision, is to equip students to be able to think not just from their own degree perspective. I'm a mechanical engineer by training, but I have skills in electrical engineering, comm science. So all this has equipped me so well to be able to handle a team of developers right now, or even in the past when I was doing robotics, to be able to work with developers within NCS and even outside, and to be able to communicate easily with them. So that's how I feel SUTD has prepared me.
Yep, I think, can I just add to that?
Yeah,
I think
sure.
gone are the days where you can pick an industry and you say, I'm going to go deep in the industry, and you think you can just add value to that. Because if you look at every industry, it's actually being transformed in a sense by adjacent factors, right? So if you look at biology, for example, now that's being transformed by AI, computational biology. You look at the COVID vaccines, for example, mRNA, completely new platform, but the concepts of genetics, concepts of programming actually comes in, because that's essentially injecting a program into the cell. So you look at architecture. It used to be about drawing and design. Now it's a lot more. Again, AI digitalization is changing that field. So I think what's important is that you find something you are passionate about and interested in. You find a course that fits your learning style. So if you like hands-on, you like experiential stuff, you find, and then in your university program, you will start to experiment, and you start to find areas of passion, and that's where you can go down that rabbit hole. And I think that's the best way to progress and to advance in your future career, because the future is going to be quite complex and uncertain.
Yeah, I think we all agreed to that. Since Kai Fong talked about architecture, so it's timing just nice. Stella just joined us. Stella, welcome to this panel discussion.
Hi. Yes, good morning.
Yeah. Maybe you can say something about your experience now working in the architecture, and how SUTD have prepared you for the job. Yeah.
Right, I think this is a very hot question. Yeah, every year we get this because SUTD's curriculum is quite outstanding compared to what you might think an architecture curriculum would prepare you for. Well, currently our industry, as mentioned earlier, is very technologically driven with this modern age and all. So you would expect that one of the most very important skills that you would have when you go out would be knowing how to do BIM, building information modeling, like working as a team, not just in architecture, but also with the various consultants who are involved in the building and construction kind of industry. So I think one really, really great thing about having come from SUTD is that you're not reluctant to try new technologies that's available out there for you. You learn on the spot in school how to find like something new altogether, be it a new plugin or like using AI to assist you in your work. And we're just not afraid. We're not afraid to try. We're not afraid to dip our feet into a different element and use what we gain from there in our work environment in the future. Like even now, you don't really see a lot of, like you hear people wanting to use parametric design very popularly, but you don't always see it being able to be applied. And I think a very special trait about SUTD students that come out into the industry is that we have all these skills and we know how to apply them in a way that makes it go into the workflow that exists out there in the current architecture industry and not make it hard for other people to understand like what we've done.
Good, thank you. Now maybe I should ask whether there are any questions from the online audience, please. Okay, this is first question here. What is SUTD seeking in prospective students? What kind of students are more suited for SUTD curriculums? Okay, I think in SUTD, our so-called admission is very holistic. In fact, we interview every shortlisted students. Not that we want to find out more about how good they are in their academic performance, but this interview is actually for us to find out this student, what they have done outside the academic activities. For example, in their school, their CCAs, and also what's so extraordinary they think they have done. And we also want to know whether they have passion, they have so-called dreams that they want to do, and whether they have also that kind of value that we talk about, be a team player, not afraid to try new things, not afraid to even fail, and then be able to come back and then can do spirit and so on. So these are the thing we look for during the interviews. So it is not about just grade. In fact, we don't really think about straight A students here in SUTD, because this is a university that emphasizes on passion and emphasize on their desire. They have the desire to want to make life better. Yeah. So I hope this answer these questions. Yeah. Next question: what is it important for freshman students to stay on campus? So maybe I should let my alumni to answer this question. Yeah, Shalv.
So I think this year, this question I think has been surfaced many times as to why do I have to stay on campus. But I think once you join SUTD, you'll realize how important and how fun it is to stay on campus. Because I think all the SUTD students, when you're collaborating on projects and everything, right, you're never bound by when is the last train I need to take to go back home. But you'll always be, when is the last time I can order supper with my friends before you graduate? That's the kind of notion you're going to be going out with after you start staying on campus. And when you're doing projects, you won't be thinking about like, oh, I just need to get the problem solved. You will be like trying to ensure that no matter how long does it take, whatever time it takes, you want to get the problem solved. And that's why staying on campus, right, will really help build that community and like this group of friends you can like tap on anytime and make sure your project gets solved. And once you start staying on campus, you will be referred to as part of the SUTD family. So it's like, you know, as a family, when you always stay together, that's exactly what's going to happen. You'll be going to your classmate's door, and then you'll be like, hey, I need help with this problem. Can you help me solve? Oh, do you all want to cook together? Do you all want to like do some activities together? This weekend, I'm not planning to go back home. Do you all want to go cycling? Do you want to do something? And I'm sure Stella will echo the same things, that we have so many memories just because we were staying on campus. And I think, in fact, most of my friends ended up staying on campus even beyond freshman, because it's just so fun and it's convenient also.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially for, you know, our vigorous curriculum, you want to have that little home base that you can run back to when you need a short break in the day, or if you're planning to work late in school, you don't have any, you know, things that's holding you back.
Yeah, I remember when we started the university 10 years ago, we admitted our first batch of students in 2012. And you know, when the freshmen come in, we brought them into the so-called dormitory. And they didn't come alone. In fact, their parents also come, their grandparents also come. So they are so worried about, you know, what happened to my child and so on. So, and actually a lot of these so-called students, after first year, all wanted to continue to stay. So it's what you say. In fact, why we want it for freshmen is important, because the freshmen come from different backgrounds. We have students from local, from overseas. We have students from A-levels, poly, IB, and also maybe NUS diploma, and so on and so forth. So it's very diverse. So how do we make sure that, you know, they can build the bonding among them? Because in SUTD, we have a lot of project require multiple, I would say, so-called team members. So the way, if they can bond very well, I would say that, you know, when they come to the team dynamic is actually very good. Maybe I think you can, you know, attest to that, right? Yeah. So I think that is one of the important things. So I don't know whether Kai, what do you think?
Can I just say that if you go to university just to study alone, it's a very sad life. Actually, 50%, if not more, is really your social interactions and the memories that you create and the shared experiences that you have with your own cohort and your friends. So actually the question is, why are you not staying on campus? Why are you not even staying on campus all 4 years, right? Yeah. Usually that's a capacity issue. And related to that is also the ability to travel overseas and to have experience overseas. So I think these are two important factors that if you don't do in your university life, that you're just, you know, going to lectures, going to tutorials, and that's it, I think it's not going to prepare you for life ahead.
Yes, fully agree. Now, I think before we end the session, there's a few more questions here. The one is actually I want to ask Stella and Shalv, like what my last slide show, the student, you know, they reflect and they think about SUTD. What are the most valuable things that you learn from SUTD? Maybe just share your thoughts here. Yeah, can start with Shalv and then followed by Stella. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. Hi. I think the most important thing I have to take away, right, is don't be afraid to ask. Because SUTD, right, you are so close to your faculty, so close to your professors and peers. They are always there to answer any questions and to be able to guide you. And I think that value, or what I learned, right, is what I carried forward to work. If I don't understand something, I'm not afraid to ask. And I think that's what is gonna like stick with you and help you grow as a person. Because if just because you're afraid to ask and you just stop there, there are a lot of things that are unresolved in your mind, and you won't ever find out whether whatever you were thinking, is it right or wrong. Yeah.
For me, I would say that it's, if you are willing to adapt, there is always enough time. Because when you're in our architecture line, especially when you're schooling, your deadlines are always very back-to-back and very tight. And you might have that little urge that you want a little bit more perfection, but you have to learn to adapt. And if you adapt well, you can reach that perfection level within that very short amount of time you need.
Yeah, good, yeah. So I think we come to the end, but there's one last question for the panelists here. So we have few hundreds audience now online, and these are students who are going to decide to go to the universities. And maybe, there are still a bit of confusion and so on, don't know what should be their choice and so on. So maybe I can ask, what will be your advice to this young student online now? So maybe I can ask Kai, to start first, then followed by Shalv, or you want the student to start first?
Yeah, why not you start first? Let me think about it.
Okay, Stella, you start first. Advice to these 500 over students, over online, yeah.
Just be yourself, because SUTD especially, I mean, all other unis will also value you when you're being yourself, but I feel you shine better when you're in your most comfortable environment.
Shalv?
Hello. Yeah, I think Stella put it very right. I think at SUTD there is a very diverse range of students, and everyone, right, has something different to offer and bring to the table, and that's what's unique about SUTD. So whenever you're working in your project teams, your capstone groups, or any project, and next time when you go out and work in the industry, as long as you are unique, you bring something that is truly you to the table, you will always have value to contribute to any company you go to. And so when you're choosing your university, just pick a university that allows you to be yourself. And at SUTD, right, we welcome everyone, and we are so diverse. So I think Stella and I, we had such diverse range of friends and group of students that we worked with, friends we worked with. So just be yourself and apply to a university where you're comfortable.
Maybe 2 or 3 pieces of advice. Firstly, I would focus, whatever university you choose, I think every school is a good school. There are different cultures, different communities, so you've got to find one that fits you. But if I were to say 3 things, one is I would focus on range rather than depth for the time being. Depth will be developed as you find your passions and your interests, but range is important. And I'm not just talking about range in terms of what you are learning, but range in your experiences. So whether, that's why I always encourage everyone to explore ASEAN, going overseas, because that's really going to be your future. So that's range. Secondly, apart from the content alone, I'll be looking for a school that teaches you how to learn. There's one question after this, which is about why is a hands-on approach so important. I think a hands-on approach is going to be increasingly important for every university. Simply because if it can be solved by someone who has done before or by a 10-year series, frankly, there's no need for you in the new workforce. Right? So you need to have that real-world experience of working in teams, working on complex problems, and figuring out that what you read in paper is not going to be what is in practice, and you've got to figure out how to solve that problem. And then the last part I would say is I will focus on building a portfolio rather than credentials. And a portfolio, because increasingly people will judge you by what you have done, right? So even as you look for jobs, look for scholarships and whatsoever, you have to be able to demonstrate that I have accomplished this, I've achieved this, I have built this particular maybe business or this website, I've built a community. I think those speak of you in far greater volume, in bigger volume, than saying I got an A for this subject.
Well, good. Thank you very much. So I think it comes to the end of this session. Once again, I'd like to thank the panelists for taking time. I know you have a busy schedule. And also, I wish all the best for the audience. and hope you have a good overview about SUTD, and hope you can think about joining SUTD. Good. Thank you.